Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're back to the normal fashion, we're back to the normal style of video. I'm happy we are. We've got some news for a change. No more live streaming, no more improvisation. We can sit here in front of the normal setup and do a Celtic transfer talk in the style it should be done. So let's talk about an exciting piece of information that's came out this morning. If you are new to the channel or you haven't already for whatever reason, please make sure to hit the big red subscribe button below. It's right there, capital letters in a red box. You cannot miss it. We are almost at 32,000 subscribers. Thank you all for the support. Let's keep 2022 rolling and keep it in good fashion. Let's get the subscribers coming in. I appreciate you all. Like as well, that also helps. So I woke up this morning to the news that Celtic are being linked with another player in the January transfer window, and a player that I think can certainly enhance the depth of our squad, an Australian international, Riley McGree. Now, you might not recognise the name. I'm going to play a clip for you for a second. You might recognise this goal.
But Atkinson did well. The boy from town. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Have you seen a more freakish goal in A-League history?
I am praying that this video does not get copyrighted for using that, I swear to God. Riley McGree scored that goal in 2018 for then club Newcastle Jets in his home country of Australia while playing in the A-League. It was nominated for the Puskas Award, in fact, and was beaten, I believe, by Mo Salah that year. Don't know how it was beaten. It's one of the most freakish goals I've ever seen in my life, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about a one-off goal. We're here to talk about the player that has been linked with Celtic. That clip in particular is just fascinating, I think. It's honestly one of the most unique and freakish goals I've ever seen scored in football history. I thought I had to throw it in because you will recognise it. A few years ago it broke the internet. It went viral with that goal, of course, when it went and hit the back of the net. But he has went on from there to forge a little bit else in his career. He's played down in England. We're going to talk about all of that. And ultimately now the international is being linked with a move to Celtic for a couple of million quid. A lot of people, and I want to start off the video talking about this because I feel like it's something that has to be addressed. Straight off the bat, this sort of rumoured transfer has drew a lot of attention because of who he is and where he's played. And a lot of people are straight away coming out with, he's not the quality of player Celtic should be signing. Now, what is the quality of player Celtic should be signing? What I don't understand is, right, I thought we got over this. There's a lot of Celtic fans I've been seeing giving this opinion today, and I'm not coming out here to say that Riley McGree is going to come into Celtic and be the best player Celtic's ever seen, and he's absolutely 100% worthy of playing for Celtic. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I'm defending the signing, but I'm not coming out and saying he's the best thing from sliced bread. What I am saying is I thought we got over this. I thought we got over this sort of superiority complex. I thought we got over that when we were proven wrong by Ange Postecoglou, and we were proven wrong by Kyogo Furuhashi. I didn't see the same outrage at the triple signing of the Japanese players we brought in, but suddenly there's been a lot of people piling on here and giving an opinion that this guy isn't good enough, despite the fact that I think a lot of Birmingham City fans have already said this is going to be a fantastic signing from Celtic. They're gutted they're missing out on him. It's a steal at the price it is. And just because he's had a long career playing in the Australian A-League, for example, we've seen a lot of people come out and criticise the rumour and criticise the potential transfer. I think this is someone that we should be open-minded about, like we've been open-minded about the manager, the rest of the boys we've signed that we might not know a lot about. And ultimately, who are Celtic? What do you want Celtic to sign? This is the point I always come back to. Celtic aren't a club that can go and sign known players, right? And when we do sign known players, a lot of the times it doesn't work out. You know, there's a difference between a player that you've heard of a couple of times, but then, you know, people are like, what are you expecting? Players from the Premier League? We've signed a player from the Premier League this season. We signed James McCarthy. And he's been hopeless. You know, he's had one decent game in the opening 6 months of the season and spent a lot of it out of the sidelines or just being poor altogether. You know, a lot of the times these players that we can sign from the Premier League or leagues that are a bit bigger are coming in with issues. So I don't see what we're expecting. The guys that Celtic sign and go on to do best are players we don't know about. Never heard of Odsonne Edouard when he came in. Barely heard of Christopher Aya when he came in. Those are two players that just left in the transfer window there for 10+ million fees. I think that's Celtic as a football club. We need to sign players that we don't know a lot about. So I think that this pile-on that some people are starting, and it's not everybody, but that's sort of, oh, it's not good enough because he's Australian or because he's playing the A-League is bizarre. And look, I'm not saying that I'm completely avoid of that, because when we were linked with Ange Postecoglou, and we'll revisit this at the end of the season, when we were linked with Ange Postecoglou, I was very critical, and I was very, very, very sort of downbeat and pessimistic about appointing a manager who I'd never heard of and someone who hadn't managed in Europe. But I was proven wrong. And I've learned to be open-minded from that. I think that should have been the massive learning point, and I'm hoping that people can begin to be a bit more open-minded about this player. So then, who is Riley McGree? Let's get up McGree. Let's get him up on screen for a moment. He's spent the last 18 months on loan in the Championship with Birmingham City. That loan deal has come to an end. Birmingham can't afford to make the transfer permanent, and a lot of fans are unhappy about that, as I've already mentioned in the video. And a central midfielder who has been compared with the likes of Bruno Fernandes by the record. I've seen him compared to Ryan Christie, but with a better finishing ability. And, you know, it's a guy who I think is going to come in and offer a sort of creative sort of role. This is someone who's going to come in, I think, to add to the depth in that area. Well, we certainly need it at the moment. Now, we spoke on the channel the other day about the likes of Hannes Wolf and him maybe signing for Celtic. I don't think that's going to happen. It's also went very quiet, whereas a few days ago there was a bit more talk about it. I think you're looking at a much more realistic opportunity of a signing here with Riley McGree. Ange Postecoglou, of course, has a massive advantage here in signing the guy. Being Australian, being a former manager of the national team, and being someone who's probably been in contact with the guy managing in Australia and all the rest of it, probably has an existing relationship, and probably a relationship that the player and manager would want to go further in. But, you know, there is competition. You know, we're not going to sit here and pretend that Celtic are going to run away with this sign. It's all done. Middlesbrough and the Championship are apparently also trying to get this deal over the line and trying to sign the player. If I was to be a player in those shoes, I know who I'd be picking, but that's obviously biased. But there is an opportunity of him coming up to Celtic, playing in European football, playing under a manager who is, you know, obviously a former Australia manager, playing with Tom Rogic, and ultimately I think playing a team that's going to offer a lot more in his career, and a lot more a chance to kind of showcase his ability. The Championship, of course, a very competitive league, and there is some decent players down there. But up in Scotland, and here in Celtic and obviously with Rangers as well, but with Celtic especially, that chance to showcase yourself on a European stage, that chance to play alongside the likes of Jota, who's a Benfica player, the likes of Kyogo, who's been fantastic, the likes of Joe Hart, a former Premier League winner, all these guys up here, I think it's just a far more attractive move for a player like him, and obviously that main drawing factor being the manager. I think there's a club up here at Celtic that seems settled at the minute. And a lot of good things going on just off the back of winning a trophy. I feel like it's a move that if you had to pick between the two, you would pick Celtic. However, there is that opportunity he could go elsewhere. This season in the Championship, he's played 13 times, scoring twice and getting 3 assists. Seems like a guy with a creative edge, someone who can score goals, someone who can make goals. So we've spoke about this before and how, you know, David Turnbull is going to be out for a little bit. He's injured, he might not come back for a month or two. What does that leave us like in the middle of the park? Well, you've got a player like McGree here who I think can create a similar sort of partnership with Tom Rogic as to what was already existing with David Turnbull. Existing with David Turnbull, that's what I mean to say. You know, I think we could create something similar to that. We spoke a lot about Hannes Wolf and maybe him coming in. I think that's out the window. It looks as though that's gone cold. It doesn't seem that might happen anymore. I was never confident of it happening in the first place. He plays at quite a high level that coming to Celtic just seemed like an improbability. McGree is someone who's played mostly in a sort of attacking role. He's played as a number 10 in a 4-2-3-1. He's sort of used to being that guy that gets into the box, in and around the area. He's an excellent finisher, apparently. He's someone who I think brings that quality that David Turnbull certainly had last season. You know, we looked at David Turnbull as that sort of number 10 last year. For a long time, our best player. He was scoring a lot of our goals. He was scoring from range. He was scoring in the box. Turnbull was getting in and around it. He hasn't quite done it as much this season, whereas I think now McGree can maybe come in and he can do something similar. He can come in and play in that 4-3-3 shape, and go up with Rogic up the park and try and be someone who helps him with the goals, whether it be making them or scoring them. And that's a real good dynamic. I think him and Rogic, they prove a lot of people wrong. At the start of the season, we're saying they can't play together, but as time went on, they did play together, and they played together well. I think McGree coming in, of course, you don't want that same sort of adjustment period. You want him to kind of hit the ground running, and you want things to take off from the start rather than, you know, firing about like we did at the start of the season. But two countrymen, they've played, but they probably know each other very well. I'm imagining with his 7 international caps, he's played with Tom Rogic as well. They already have an existing sort of knowledge of each other. And I think that them coming in and playing together could be very, very beneficial for Celtic and could be a good little link there. Now, the thing is with McGree as well, and a point I'd like to touch on, he is someone who is capable of playing in that central mid position. I've spoken this in the video. I think throughout his career, overall, I think he might have played a lot in the central mid role, a little bit deeper than that number 10. Now, in that central mid role, that's, I think, something Celtic needs someone in. I know we've just signed Hatate. I know we've got Ideguchi coming in as well. But I think that if we bring in McGree after how well he's played so far at Birmingham, where he has done a lot of adapting in games to either be high up or come a little bit deeper, that benefits Celtic. I think that that's something that Celtic could really add in this team. Something that I think Turnbull and Rogic have been a little bit guilty of is not getting back and not being that sort of sitting midfield that they have to be at times. I think McGree could come in and offer that sort of ability that we don't really have in the squad at the moment. Now, we've still to see the new boys, Hatate, Ideguchi, they might be doing that well. They might be coming in and offering something that's a little bit deeper than an attacking midfielder. But I think that McGree, with doing it at times throughout his career, can come in and do that at Celtic. Seeing a good comparison to Tom Rogic in sort of terms of his dribbling and the way he comes for the ball, his passing, his shooting from distance, the numbers are quite similar to Tom Rogic. So you're looking at a similar player. You're looking at someone who can come in and be an option behind him if it is to be a depth option. I'm actually quite excited about this. The more I read into the player and the more that I've looked through on him, it does seem like the sort of player that I think comes into Celtic and offer. And I know I feel like I say that about every single player we're linked with, but you know, he is someone I want to be sort of open-minded about. And when you look through his numbers and you look through sort of the reading on the player, he does sort of look like a player Celtic could benefit having, and I think that a manager like Ange Postecoglou will absolutely get the best out of him. So I quite like it. I think he can bring a lot of positives up the park, further up the park, but he can also do a job deeper, and that's something that we can just benefit out of 100%. You know, there's no negatives to this, I think. And for a cheap fee, the Birmingham fans seem to be telling us it's a steal. He's been brilliant. We wish we could keep him. You know, they've had some decent central midfielders over the last few years. I think you know who I'm talking about. If they know what a central midfielder is when they're good, then this guy could hopefully be good for us. I believe he's not even played a game for his club. I don't think Charlotte have actually played their first MLS game. They're a new franchise, I believe, yet to make their sort of MLS debut. 2022 season, I think, is going to be their first. So he's not actually played for that club yet. He was only their second ever signing. So it looks as though that he's going to join and leave that club without playing, because I think one way or another he is going to move on, whether it be us, Middlesbrough, Birmingham, whoever. So yeah, let's just see what happens. I wouldn't go over and above, I think, but if the fee is low and Ange is feeling confident in the signing, I'm feeling confident in the signing, I would like to see him maybe come in, and I feel like he could present a good option for the club. His best record probably Adelaide United so far, but let's bring him up here and let's hope he has the same effect that some others have switching over the continent now. A lot of people bringing up the issue that maybe once again you're bringing in a player that we miss out for the Derby game, for example. He'll be away on international duty with Australia. That's something, of course, that is a bit frustrating if that is the case, but I think that, you know, him coming in and him having that adjustment period anyway doesn't mean that he would be a surefire for the Derby game. So we'll just wait and see. Take everything with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I would like this. I like the look of the guy. So aye, that does it. That's today's video. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed, and let me know if you want to hear anything else about the guy himself and anything you want to see on the channel. Just let me know. It's always great fun. Yeah. Okay. See you next time.